Thank you, everybody, for coming to this presentation. Lenore Reinhart has done a really interesting pilot study on a self-compassion training program, and she won a Psychi award for this research. And Psychi, as you may know, is the honors club for psychology students around the world. So she's done a great job. So I'd like you to introduce Lenore Reinhart.
All right. Thanks everybody for coming out here. I'm Lenore, and I'm a student here at Adams State University. And first I really want to thank Adams State University and along with Student Scholar Days for giving me this opportunity to talk about something I'm pretty passionate about, and that's self-compassion. So let's see if I get this right. Okay, so this slide here is just, I'm going to go over a little bit what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to give you a little bit of research about what self-compassion, what the research says about self-compassion, talk about what is self-compassion, why should we even really care about self-compassion, and then I'm going to go into some of the methods of developing the training program and also implementing the training program, and then I'm going to talk about some of the results along with, well, where do we go from here with this project. So starting with the past research, the most important aspect about the past research is that self-compassion can be taught. That's a huge part of it. There's been a couple programs. Christine Neff and Chris Germer developed a mindful self-compassion program. It's an 8-week program. And also Stanford University developed a compassion cultivation training program, and that's also an 8-week program. And the results have shown that, we can teach self-compassion. So that's pretty cool. So what is self-compassion? Well, Christine Neff, she really is the leading researcher in self-compassion and really pioneered the research with self-compassion and also gave us a operational definition of self-compassion, meaning we get to measure it. So that's pretty cool. So she believes self-compassion here involves being touched by one's own suffering and treating oneself with understanding and concern. And also in her definition, she describes 3 components with self-compassion, and I'm going to go into each of those, but the 3 components are self-kindness, mindfulness, and common humanity. Okay, so what is self-kindness? Well, let's see if this works. Self-kindness really is about treating ourselves with care and understanding. It's about accepting our mistakes, our faults, our imperfections. I mean, we all have them. That's for sure. I know I have my own. And it's also a big part of it is when we do see our mistakes, it's not about judging ourselves. It's not about self-criticism. It's really about how we want to treat a friend, and so often we don't do that. We're so hard on ourselves, and we're not hard on our friends and even our strangers. We treat strangers sometimes nicer than we treat ourselves. And then also, it's also not about letting ourselves off the hook. It's really about taking responsibility for your actions and for yourself. So that's the self-kindness aspect. And then the mindfulness aspect, this first is about having a non-judgmental open mind. And to be able to have a non-judgmental open mind, then we get to notice our thoughts and feelings without judgment. And it's also about being present to our feelings, not suppressing them. It's about really feeling what's going on here. And then another aspect is about not over-identifying. We're a lot more than just our feeling. I may be nervous right now, but I'm really more than just being nervous. So at least I'm hoping so. Okay. And then the last part of the third aspect is common humanity. And common humanity really talks about, all of us in here, I'm pretty sure, are all human. So we have that aspect going for us. We all make mistakes, we're all imperfect, and we all have vulnerabilities at times, and believe it or not, we all have feelings, and that suffering really is just part of the human experience. So that's kind of really what binds us together instead of isolates us. So why should we care about self-compassion? What does the research say about it? Well, it has a lot to say. First off, I'm going to go over some of the reductions. Reduction in self-criticism, anxiety, depression, stress, rumination, perfectionism, and even body shame. And then on the flip side, we have an increase. we have an increase in life satisfaction, happiness, self-confidence, optimism, creativity, gratitude, and resiliency. So as you can see, I mean, self-compassion really hits a lot of areas that are really important to our everyday life. So I think it's really pretty cool, and the research backs this up. It's not just, you know, like, oh yeah, this helps. It really has been researched and shown to be effective. So next, so what did I do? Well, first I developed a training session, a 4-session training program, and we did this over a 3-week period, the training was. And then I recruited Adams State University students to participate. They volunteered. I didn't pay them or bribe them. And then we randomly assigned them into either a control group or an experimental group. And so in our groups, we had 6 participants in the control group, and mean age was 20. We had 5 women and 1 man. And then for the training group, we had 7 participants. Mean age was 26. We had 6 women and 1 man. There was one older person in the group, and the participants, so it kind of skewed the age there a little bit. And so then for the participants in the training group, they participated in 4, roughly about an hour-and-a-half classes. And then they also filled out measures before the training, and then again after the training. And then the control group's responsibility, which is really an important responsibility, was first to fill out the measures before the training, and then they did not partake in any of the training, and then 3 weeks later, again, they filled out post measures. Without them, we couldn't say what the effect really was about, what the change was about. Okay, so, and then the measures completed, there was a series of 5 measures. 1 measured self-compassion, 1 measured stress, 1 measured life satisfaction, another forms of self-criticizing or attacking self, and then a mindfulness inventory. Okay, so next I'm just going to give you a little outline, a very brief outline of the training. So the first training really was all about self-compassion. You know, we defined self-compassion. Well, first I wanted to say each training had either a didactic period and also an experiential period. So the didactic part of this was defining self-compassion. Again, what self-compassion isn't. It's not about feeling sorry for yourself. And then we talked again about the benefits. And then for the experiential part of the training, we did a self-soothing exercise, and it can be really simple. I mean, the research shows like even like a simple touch to your heart can really affect really calm yourself down. I should do that now. Breathe. And also even really encourage them to find some words, like, and not telling them, but finding them helping them find words that will help calm them, like, you know, oh, I'm relaxed right now, or may I be happy, or I am happy, you know, and just really encourage them to find what worked for them. And then we also did a loving kindness meditation, and it was more of a script, and we handed it out, and people were able to take that home to use it. And then nobody wants to hear homework, but there is homework. And the homework consisted of, it wasn't like hours of homework a day, but we really encouraged about 10 minutes a day of, the first thing we did was everybody had to practice random acts of kindness every day for, it could be for a friend, it could be for a stranger, and it wasn't like this huge deal, you know, it could even just be opening the door for somebody, but it was really just about engaging and being nice. And then also daily self-soothing exercise, and also some loving kindness meditations. Okay, so that was the first training. So the second training was really all about mindfulness. And so we defined mindfulness, and really simply, mindfulness is just like present moment awareness, like what am I doing right here in this moment? And then we talked about what the research says about self-compassion, and also about the benefits of mindfulness. Benefits of mindfulness. And then for the experiential part, we talked about, well, how do you practice mindfulness? How do you become present moment awareness? It's not that easy. So we did a couple experiences, we did an eating experience, and since I make cookies, we did a mindful cookie experience. And it was really about, instead of just gobbling down the cookie, it was like really, first off, even noticing it in your hand. How does it feel? How does it taste? So it was, we had fun with that one, I thought anyway. And then we also did a mindful breathing exercise. And breathing exercises are great. We could actually do one right now. We could just everybody just take a deep breath and breathe out. And then what we did is and then take a deep breath in again, and to a count of 5, and then breathe out to a count of 5. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in to a count of 5, and breathe out to a count of 5. Now you can almost even feel the shift, at least I felt it for me. But what it shows is even doing this for 1 minute, what it does, it really activates your parasympathetic nervous system. It helps you soothe yourself, calm yourself down, so it's really beneficial and so simple. I mean, it's your breath, So that was that. And then homework again. And the homework again was incorporating some of these experiences, the mindful breathing exercise, that kind of thing, and also continuing self-compassion meditations and also random acts of kindness. Okay, so then for the third training, it was all about meditation. So what is meditation? Meditation really simply is just your focused attention on something. It could be your breath, it could be a noise, it could be your doorknob. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just what you put your attention to and your intention. So that's kind of a brief explanation of what meditation is. And then we also talked again about the benefits of meditation, and then again the relationship to self-compassion. And then we did a series of meditations. And some were more formal than others, some were really simple. The RAIN meditation, RAIN is an acronym, and I'll briefly go over it. R stands for recognizing, oh, what's going on right now. And then A is just allow it to happen. And I is about investigating it, oh, let's get curious for a moment. And then the N is really about then not attaching to it. Okay, let's let it go, okay? So that's the RAIN meditation. And then the pause meditation is really an informal, and really the point is to just, I know for me, being a student and working, it's sometimes I forget to stop. And so pause is really just pausing, throughout the day, just stopping and checking in, oh, what am I feeling right now? So that was the intention of that, and we really encourage that to do that 3 or 4 times a day, and maybe even set a timer for it, just to really check in, okay, what's happening? And then we also taught a Tonglen meditation, and this is a Tibetan Buddhist meditation that really is about developing compassion. It's a more formal meditation, but simply put, it's about, this is not doing it justice, but this is 2 words, 3 sentences, I guess. But let's say you're walking down the street and you see somebody who looks like they're having a tough time, and it's really about allowing, really imagining what they're feeling, and then breathing that in, and then on the out breath, kind of breathing out freedom from that, breathing out compassion or breathing out love. So, and you can do this for yourself too. It's not, you can do it for anybody. You can do it for your pet, it doesn't matter. And then we also did a letter writing exercise, and then finally again, more homework. And again, it was a continuation, just adding on. It wasn't, the homework was a really big part of it, because it is a practice. You have to develop it. So it's not something, oh, we'll do it once and then we're self-compassionate. So, it really takes practice. So, and then the 4th training really was just a wrap-up. If anybody had any questions, we tried to address those. We gave some resources for further exploration. Did a little overview of the practices, and then post measures were completed for both the control group and also I had the training group. So that was the wrap up of that. So what did we find out? Well, we found out quite a few different things. let's see if I can do my little thing. All right, so this graph right here is talking about just the training group. And so pre-training versus post-training, the difference in self-compassion, they had higher levels of self-compassion after the training. And then also, and this graph here is comparing the control group here to the training group there. So as you can see, they had higher levels of self-compassion. Okay? And then another difference we found was in self-kindness. And again, here this is pre versus post training for just the participants. And again, they had higher levels of self-kindness before they started the training versus after. And then here is comparing the control group to the training group. And again, the training group had higher levels of self-kindness. Then another differences we found was in common humanity. Again, here showing the pre versus the post. Participants after the training had higher levels of self-compassion, common humanity. And then also here, comparing the control group to the program group, the training group, they had higher levels of feelings of common humanity. So that's pretty exciting. Okay, so we still have some more pretty cool results. Differences in self-judgment. And this one, it was measured a little bit different. The higher, oops, oh shoot. Okay, here we go. Differences in self-judgment. The higher the mean score, the less self-judgment. So the training group here, pre versus post, the higher mean score, less self-judgment. So that's pretty cool. And also here, comparing the control to the program, the program group had higher mean score, so meant less self-judgment. It's a lot to say. Okay, and then the last slide here about differences is differences in mindfulness and stress. And this is, oh darn, sorry about that. Comparing the condition versus the training group. And the training group had higher levels of mindfulness compared to the control group. And then also here, the training versus the control group. The control group had higher levels of stress compared to the training group. So what does this really all mean? Well, I think it's pretty encouraging. First off, my research is showing that it does teach, so it's supporting past research that self-compassion can be taught. It's also, we've showed a lot of significant results. And also I think really encouraging is the decrease in the time of the teaching, where most of these were 8-week programs, and this was a 3-week program, so I think that's really cool. And then some of the limitations, the biggest one is a small sample size. This is going to affect our power in deciding, really where did the change happen, or was it really the program, or was it something else? And also the sample may not represent the general population. And it was a pilot study, so it was the first time this program was run. And then in future, it'd be great to be able to do this with a larger sample size and maybe some minor adjustments to the training protocol. There's some more references, and I did it.